What changed in that game was not just the stat line, it was the emotional hierarchy of the series. Before Game 5, the Minnesota Timberwolves looked like they believed they had finally cracked the code. Get physical with Victor Wembanyama, drag him into chaos, frustrate him, make him react emotionally instead of strategically. That's why the ejection in Game 4 mattered so much psychologically. The crowd celebrated it. The bench energy changed. Players started chirping more aggressively. It felt like Minnesota thought they had discovered an emotional weakness. Then Game 5 completely flipped the narrative. Because Wemby didn't return acting wild or reckless, he returned acting intentional. That's what made the performance feel dangerous. The trash talk from Anthony Edwards and Ayo Dosunmu wasn't random playoff emotion anymore. Please subscribe. It cost you nothing, but it's really so much to me. It became fuel. But instead of trying to win arguments, Wemby answered through pace control, physicality, and shot making. That's superstar behavior. True playoff superstars eventually reach a stage where trash talk stops affecting them emotionally and starts sharpening them mentally. And honestly, the scariest part for Minnesota was how quickly the rest of the San Antonio Spurs began feeding off him. That's when you know a player's leadership is becoming real. Not speeches, not media quotes, not branding, energy transfer. When Wemby played aggressive, everybody around him suddenly looked tougher. Stephon Castle picking pockets and barking back, Keldon Johnson attacking the paint harder, Julian Champagnie drilling momentum threes without hesitation. That's what elite franchise players eventually do. They alter the emotional confidence of the entire roster. And the first quarter told the whole story. 18 points immediately. No hesitation, no lingering frustration, no trying to settle into the game. Just attack mode. That's why even the 27 points and 17 rebounds don't fully capture how overwhelming he felt. Some dominant performances are statistical. Others completely reshape the atmosphere inside the arena. This was the second type. Every possession started feeling inevitable. And when Minnesota erased the lead and tied the game at 61, that became the real test. Because young playoff teams usually crack right there. That's normally where the offense speeds up, bad shots appear, crowd pressure grows, role players disappear, and the veteran team takes control. Instead, San Antonio stabilized immediately. That's what impressed former players so much. Not just Wemby's production, the composure, no panic, no emotional overreaction, no hero ball, just execution. That's usually the dividing line between talented teams and dangerous teams. And honestly, that's why people around the league are suddenly talking about this series differently now. Before Game 5, the conversation was, can the Spurs survive this matchup? After Game 5, the conversation became, what happens if Wembanyama is already figuring playoff basketball out this fast? That's terrifying for the rest of the NBA, because the league already knew about the physical tools, 7 feet 4 inches size, rim protection, guard movement, deep range, transition ability, shot creation. But playoff greatness is usually about emotional adaptation. Can a player handle embarrassment, process physicality, adjust under pressure, control momentum, and emotionally dominate a series? Game 5 felt like the first real glimpse of that evolution happening in real time. Minnesota tried to make him uncomfortable. Instead, they may have accelerated his transformation into something colder, tougher, and more aggressive. And once a player with Wembanyama's talent starts enjoying playoff warfare instead of reacting to it, the balance of the league changes fast. What's becoming obvious in this playoff run is that the San Antonio Spurs are no longer operating like a cute young future team. They already look structurally dangerous. And honestly, the biggest misunderstanding people had about this roster was the idea that the three-guard setup would automatically become a problem instead of a weapon. Because when De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, and Dylan Harper are all attacking downhill together, the pressure becomes relentless. That Game 6 stat line says everything. 68 combined points, 25 of 34 shooting, constant paint pressure, constant pace, constant rim, attacks. That's not just hot shooting. That's systemic collapse for the defense. Minnesota kept getting put into impossible decisions. Help on drives and give up kickouts, stay home and let guards attack the rim, collapse the paint and surrender transition rhythm, or pressure the perimeter and expose the back line. There was no clean answer. And Fox matters enormously in making that system function. People focus so heavily on Wembanyama's ceiling that they sometimes overlook what Fox provides psychologically and structurally. Tempo control, shot creation, late clock composure, veteran decision-making, and the ability to stabilize chaos. That adult-in-the-room description honestly fits perfectly, because when playoff games start swinging emotionally, Fox gives them somebody who can settle possessions without slowing aggression completely. And those timely mid-range pull-ups or downhill bursts become devastating once defenses are already terrified of Wemby behind the action. That's why rushing to break up the guard trio feels premature. Maybe salary issues eventually force difficult decisions later. But from a basketball standpoint, this combination actually makes sense because each guard brings something slightly different. Fox brings veteran burst and control, Castle brings defensive pressure and physicality, Harper adds size and scoring versatility. Together, they overwhelm perimeter defenses with waves of pressure. And then the entire structure becomes terrifying because of Victor Wembanyama existing behind it. That's the real cheat code. Normally, lineups this perimeter heavy eventually break defensively because somebody has to protect the rim, rebound, and erase mistakes. Most teams can't survive sacrificing size. The Spurs can because Wemby is basically functioning as an entire defensive system by himself. That sounds exaggerated until you watch the games. The defensive philosophy almost really is, everybody pressure everything aggressively because Victor exists. That changes how the entire roster plays. Perimeter defenders can gamble more. Rotations can be more aggressive. Guards can pressure higher. Transition defense becomes recoverable. Mistakes become survivable because there's a 7'4" eraser waiting behind everything. And the crazy part is that the most devastating part of Wemby's defense often never appears in the box score. The blocks are flashy, sure, but the fear is what destroys offenses. That Minnesota frontcourt stat line was horrifying. Rudy Gobert, 0 points, 3 rebounds, 0 blocks. Julius Randle, 3 points, 1 for 8 shooting, -34. That's not just bad offense, that's psychological distortion. Players start second-guessing normal reads. Layups become floaters, floaters become rushed push shots, drives become kickouts, easy paint attempts suddenly feel dangerous. Even successful finishes start looking difficult. That's generational rim deterrence, and the Castle-Wemby defensive numbers are where the future starts looking frightening. A 96.4 defensive rating in playoff minutes together is absurd territory. That's not potential, that's already elite postseason defense happening in real time. Castle's ball pressure works because Wemby exists behind him. Wemby's roaming dominance becomes more destructive because Castle pressures entry points. That synergy is exactly how championship defenses get built. And honestly, the biggest shift happening league-wide is this. Teams are starting to realize Wembanyama doesn't just elevate talent around him. He changes roster construction itself. Most franchises have to choose size or speed, rim protection or perimeter pressure, aggression or safety. San Antonio is starting to realize they may not have to choose at all. That's why this feels bigger than a normal young playoff team developing. It feels like the Spurs are quietly building a completely different basketball ecosystem around a player whose existence breaks traditional roster logic. The scariest part about this San Antonio Spurs run is that it no longer feels like a young team getting hot at the right time. It feels repeatable. That's the shift, because Spurs in 6 normally sounds like a competitive emotional series where a young group barely survives. But the actual texture of this matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves looked completely different. Minnesota's 2 wins came under strange circumstances, a missed buzzer 3 and the Wemby ejection game. Outside of that, San Antonio consistently looked like the team controlling the emotional structure of the series, and Game 6 honestly felt brutal. Winning a road closeout game by 30 while leading by as many as 37 is one thing. Never trailing at all is another. That's not young team learning. That's authority. The most impressive part was how calm everything looked. No panic stretches, no nervous energy, no feeling that the Spurs were overachieving. They carried themselves like they expected to win. That maturity is what keeps jumping out. Whenever Minnesota hinted at momentum, Stephon Castle hits a 3, De'Aaron Fox settles the offense, Victor Wembanyama erases something at the rim, run over. That's championship-style emotional management. And honestly, the part that should really concern the league is this. Minnesota is not inexperienced. This is a battle-tested roster, a physical roster, a confident roster. Yet San Antonio made them look uncertain and reactive for long stretches. That's why people are suddenly taking the Oklahoma City Thunder matchup extremely seriously. Because on paper, OKC should still be the favorite. They're the defending champions. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been operating like the best player alive. Their defense is elite. Their chemistry is elite. Their versatility is elite. But San Antonio presents problems that most teams simply cannot simulate. The 4-1 regular season record matters psychologically now. Not because regular season always predicts playoff success, but because the Spurs consistently disrupted Oklahoma City's rhythm in ways other teams couldn't. And they did it against real Thunder lineups. Isaiah Hartenstein available, Jalen Williams active during OKC's dominant stretch, including NBA Cup pressure games. That's why this series feels dangerous instead of cute. Normally, young rising teams are exciting stories until they run into the reigning powerhouse. This feels different because San Antonio's strengths attack OKC's specific pressure points: oversized perimeter creators, extreme paint pressure, high defensive aggression, and Wembanyama warping the floor defensively. And the terrifying part is that this current Spurs version is better than the one Oklahoma City already struggled with earlier in the year. Castle improved, Dylan Harper improved dramatically, the offense became more explosive, the playoff composure became real. That's why the biggest question in basketball right now may honestly be this: what if Oklahoma City doesn't actually have a clean answer for Wembanyama? Because most teams eventually force compromises. Against the Spurs, compromises become impossible. If you pressure the guards, they attack downhill. If you collapse the paint, shooters appear. If you stay home defensively, Fox gets comfortable. And if anything breaks down at all, Wemby controls the interior. That's why this series suddenly feels enormous for the future of the NBA. Not just because San Antonio might win, but because if a team this young can already push the defending champions to the edge structurally, then the league may be watching the beginning of the next dynasty forming in real time.